Welcome back. For today's Business Matters, we have with us Don Ma. Don, it's good to see you. How you doing?
Doing well. How about you guys?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's hot, but we're in here, so that's not too bad.
It is hotter than usual today. We had a bit of a cooler couple of days, but it's not so today.
All right, what do you have for us?
Yeah, so let me start off with this. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway is continuing to trim down its stake in the second largest U.S. lender. So in the most recent round of sales, the billionaire investor offloaded about $980 million worth of shares in Bank of America. Now, Berkshire has been selling shares since July, bringing the total to about $5.5 billion worth. Now, the sales appear to be a reversal from Buffett's stance just 1 year ago when he praised the bank's CEO and said he didn't want to sell. Now, Berkshire is still B of A's largest shareholder, with that being said. And mortgage rates have fallen for 4 consecutive weeks. Now, data is showing a potential double-edged sword, if you will, for potential home buyers. The Mortgage Bankers Association found that the average 30-year fixed rate fell to 6.44%, and this is the lowest point since April last year. Now, lower rates give buyers more purchasing power, but also experts are warning that it could drive up competition. The drop could also increase the number of homes for sale. Some homeowners rather, have been under the so-called lock-in effect, where they're locked into their low pre-pandemic rates and are unwilling to list their homes. Now, Netflix dribbling onto the court with the new MBA-based series. The streaming giant is going to announce that it's going to launch the sports show Starting Five, and it's going to take viewers behind the scenes of the National Basketball Association during last season. It's going to follow popular players including LeBron James, Jimmy Butler, Anthony Edwards, and more. Netflix has been expanding its sports content. It's signed new content deals with World Wrestling Entertainment as well and the National Football League this year. Now, Starting Five is set to premiere on October 8th. Meanwhile, we're seeing another downshift for electric vehicles. General Motors and Samsung are delaying the launch of their EV battery cell plant. Now, the two companies have finalized their agreement to run a new factory together in Indiana. The facility will make batteries that are supposed to store more energy. The companies say this should lower costs and improve driving range. Construction on the battery plant is underway, but production has been pushed back to 2027. The delay comes as drivers continue to have concerns about EVs, from range to charging infrastructure. EV sales in the U.S. are still going up with the boost from lease deals, but EV sales are seeing a slowdown. Now, luxury vehicle maker Ferrari looks to be doing something right because their stock price has been outperforming other European luxury vehicles and clothing brands as well. Let's now go to NTD Sean Marshall, who takes a look at what's happening over at Ferrari.
Ferrari's shares have risen 43% this year to a record high, outdoing other high-end European automobile makers such as Mercedes and Volvo. Stock buybacks and rising profit estimates have helped Ferrari's stock rally. Morgan Stanley analysts say fierce brand loyalty is another reason for the gains.
It takes a long time to create a rapport with Ferrari, and they like to control that because there are many instances where they want to say the right people have to own our cars at the right time for the market.
Something out of the ordinary is how Ferrari purposely keeps their exposure to China low. Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna told Bloomberg in an interview the market in China is still not mature, stating that China's auto market needs time for development. Morgan Stanley analyst Adam Jonas said on Tuesday no other major publicly traded luxury goods company discloses both a higher repeat customer percentage and lower China mix.
By Ferrari limiting their exposure in China to 10%, they're evening out their exposure across the entire world. They're creating false scarcity in China to make sure that they don't too heavily tip their hand in one direction and then become reliant on that market.
Part of Ferrari's low China exposure allowed them to not be impacted when the European Union imposed strict tariffs on Chinese electric vehicle imports. Those same tariffs forced Volvo to lower its sales forecast this year since their electric vehicles are made in China. Ferrari plans to go the opposite direction by building a factory in Italy for the company's first all-electric vehicle along with other hybrid models. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
Now, this goes without saying, joining the $1 trillion club is not easy, especially if you're a non-tech company. It's never happened before in America, but today one American company made history by breaking into the 4 Comma Club. Let's turn to NTD's Jimmy Ma for more.
In an historic move today, Berkshire Hathaway has become the first non-tech company in America to surpass $1 trillion in market capitalization. The stock of Warren Buffett's conglomerate rose by 0.8% this morning, driving its market capitalization over the $1 trillion mark for the very first time. It now joins the very exclusive 4 Comma Club of trillion-dollar companies dominated by tech giants like Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia. As usual, the company outpaced the S&P 500 by 12% this year. Based in Omaha, Nebraska, the company was taken over by Warren Buffett in 1965. Over the decades, Buffett transformed Berkshire Hathaway from a struggling textile maker into a thriving investment empire, achieving nearly 20% annual gains. This success has made Warren Buffett a billionaire with an estimated net worth of $145 billion. Despite the recent rally, Berkshire has taken some cautious steps, including reducing its massive stake in Apple, trimming holdings in Bank of America, and sitting on a record amount of cash. Additionally, lower interest rates from the Fed can lower the returns on Berkshire's cash pile.
Now, breaking news. French authorities just handed Telegram CEO Pavel Durov preliminary charges. He allowed alleged criminal activity on his messaging app, and they have now barred him from leaving France pending further investigation. Take a look at this story.
Billionaire Telegram founder Pavel Durov is now being transferred from police custody to a French court for a possible indictment. He was arrested and accused of being complicit in a number of crimes, including enabling an illegal transaction in an organized group, possessing pornographic images of minors, acquiring, transporting, possessing, offering, or selling narcotic substances, and organized fraud. He's also accused of not cooperating with authorities when they request information.
Quant aux motifs qui lui ont valu cette arrestation,
He is roughly accused of being complicit in everything that could be criminal and committed on this platform.
That's social media analyst Fabrice Eppelborn. Telegram is an encrypted messaging app with 1 billion users worldwide. On the app, people can talk one-on-one, in group chats, or via channels. Its CEO describes himself as a free speech advocate. Telegram moderates public content, not private chats. It prohibits illegal activity, and the platform says its moderation is in line with industry standards and improving.
The burden of proof is on the French authorities to show that he has done something wrong, that he has gone way beyond simple not being able to keep up with everything going on Telegram.
Attorney Irina Sukerman says the allegations are very serious. They go beyond improper moderation. Telegram says it abides by EU laws, including the Digital Services Act. The act requires large platforms to moderate their content to a certain extent. But the European Commission says the arrest is unrelated to the Digital Services Act.
He is also being investigated for actually facilitating criminal activity, not simply failing to provide a better regulatory framework to comply with the law.
Violating the Digital Services Act is a civil crime. The worst result is a financial penalty. France is alleging Durov is a criminal.
Typically, when someone's arrested for criminal charges, there has to be some intent on the part of the person who's been arrested.
Attorney Matthew Mangino says France may have to show publicly unseen evidence Durov knowingly allowed crime on Telegram. French media report that Durov could spend up to 20 years in prison.
All right, now joining me is Vijay Marolia, founder and CIO of RP Capital Solutions. Vijay, how are you doing today?
Fantastic, and thank you for having me today.
Yeah, sure. Our pleasure here. Do you think NVIDIA is going to deliver? We're expecting the earnings results.
Don, honestly, I feel like a teenage girl waiting for the phone to ring. This is the most popular, most exciting, most suspenseful earnings announcement in my career, and I've been in this business for more than 20 years. NVIDIA is, for lack of a better phrase, the entire market. Everybody's kind of dependent on them, and it's for a couple of reasons. Not only the fact that they have grown so large, but also because every dollar that they make, it actually speaks to the future as it relates to AI and technology's evolution in general.
So of course, as you pointed to, a lot at stake right now. What are the pressure points for NVIDIA?
The pressure points, everybody's going to be interested in learning more about the delays for the shipments of Blackwell, but I think that they are kind of making a mountain out of a molehill, something I'm guilty of myself. But the reason why I say that, if it's a delay, it'll be a slight delay. It's not going to really change the fundamentals of the business or the potential that NVIDIA has. And at this point, they have what I guess Warren Buffett would probably call a fantastic business moat, one that's very difficult to replace, if not impossible, over the next year or two.
What does NVIDIA need to say during its earnings call to reassure investors?
I think it's all about guidance. Don, once again, you hit the nail on the head. As the stock market is forward looking, it's not going to be so much about what they did yesterday or even what they did last quarter, even though the whole point is to announce last quarter's results. Everybody will be paying attention to guidance, what's going to happen over the next couple of quarters, and myself included.
So are you optimistic? Are you bullish? Do you own the stock?
Full disclosure, we are long the stock via call options. I am very bullish over the long term. If they announce good earnings, but guidance causes the stock to sell off, I would not be surprised if we add to our position.
So you're saying along the lines that NVIDIA, it's basically the whole market here. So naturally, I have to ask you, how much will today's results move markets?
Don, again, you hit the nail on the head. The reason why this is so exciting is because if they make one false move, you could have significant changes in the market. That's because it's already a very big allocation of the benchmarks, right? Over 6%. And as you know, most of trading today is high frequency trading. These are algorithms that are basically controlling the trends in the market. And just like what happened in October 87, which at that time, they didn't call it algorithm, they called it portfolio insurance. I think it was easier to sell it that way. But this could be really good or really bad. And your guess is as good as mine. But my fingers are crossed, we're long the stock and we're long AI.
So you're saying you're long the stock. So then can NVIDIA keep up with investor expectations?
I think over the long run, they will. And everybody has a different definition of long run, right? It's kind of like what we talked about before, like price is absolute and then value is relative and time is also relative. So for some people, long term is 90 days, like Wall Street. For me, long term is bare minimum 3 to 5 years. And I think over the next 3 to 5 years, once adoption increases, you're going to see a lot more growth. I think we're still at the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, speaking of which, elaborate a bit more on that. We got about 20 seconds. What inning are we in for this artificial intelligence movement? Is there room for demand left for NVIDIA?
I love the baseball analogy, my man. I think we're in the second inning. We're in maybe the bottom of the second inning. And what's going to happen is right now it's kind of like, let's call it a tie, because people don't know which way it's going to turn. We had the VIX spike. We had the market sell off. Some people bought the dip, like ourselves. And now we're really going to see what's going to happen. So think about the start of the lineup coming right back. So let's see if they can continue the momentum. If they don't, all bets are off.
All right, thank you very much for your time today, VJ.
Thanks again.
All right, moving on from that. Have you ever wondered why stores offer you cash back at the register? Well, it turns out customers fork over at least $90 million in fees a year, and this is based on a new report by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And the study noted that nowadays people have fewer options to access cash. Cashback at a store is one way when making a purchase with a debit or a prepaid card. The CFBP sampled the 8 large retailers and found the Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and Kroger all charged fees. The Bureau estimates that the marginal cost to stores may be a few pennies compared to the much higher fees charged to consumers. And inflation may be easing, but grocery bills not reflecting that, right? On average, grocery prices still up more than 20%. And here are some tips for you to potentially save during your next grocery run. Now, of course, use coupons, right? We all know this. While cutting them out, still an option. Many stores offer deals on their app as well. And maybe plan and budget and see how much you have been spending and inventory what you already have. It's a simple idea, but many don't do that actually. And after that, maybe set a reasonable budget and make a list. And to avoid impulse purchases, shoppers can as well use pickup options. Now, this one, find a bulk buddy. There's usually cost savings to buying in bulk. Find a friend or family member to share the savings with. Now, sales are another way to save, but only if it's an item you already wanted to buy. Labor Day is coming up, and it's one of the biggest sales times of the year. Early deals are already here for everything from tech and kitchenware to appeal and skincare. Amazon is selling Apple's 9th generation iPad for under $200 and a Shark cordless vacuum for under $100. We all know we need a new vacuum, right? Walmart has also cut the price of SGIN laptop by more than half. A shopping expert recommends using this time to buy big ticket items and keep in mind promo codes. They need to be at least at checkout and search for any coupon options to get deeper discounts. And let me just quickly mention markets today. U.S. stocks fell today ahead of a quarterly report from NVIDIA. The company is being viewed as the biggest winner so far from AI technology following several blowout quarterly reports. Shares of NVIDIA fell about 2% today ahead of that. Other chip makers as well fell, like Broadcom and Advanced Micro Devices, or AMD. Google owner Alphabet, Microsoft, and Amazon also losing ground today. All right, with that, all the stories I have for you guys and the viewers on today's Business Matters. Chris, Fiona?
Don, your guest talking about NVIDIA was super enthusiastic about the AI market, saying that it's in the bottom of the second inning, meaning there's a solid 7 and some innings to go in that market's development. I think it's very significant, and I think a lot of people don't fully grasp what's about to happen in the world. I mean, artificial intelligence is already developing at rapid speeds, and the founder of NVIDIA, I was watching some videos recently, he's saying that, yeah, they're just getting started, and what's next could really be transformative.
Yeah, and the reason why NVIDIA is getting so much attention here is because, first of all, the hype with artificial intelligence, right? There's a ton of that within this space. But NVIDIA is actually considered the poster child of this so-called artificial intelligence hype. So, I mean, it makes sense, right? It's no surprise that the poster child is getting so much attention here right before their earnings report.
Yeah, but I mean, numbers aside, business talk aside, I think it's important to also focus on what this is doing, what the development of AI and this very positive, I could say, outlook on AI is actually going to do to humans, right? The actual people living on this earth, right? I mean, like Snapchat now has this chatbot called My AI, which can chat with users, but really the way they're chatting, they're like improving at such a rapid pace that sometimes it's actually hard to tell that whether you're chatting to a human or a robot. And that could be quite concerning for interpersonal relationships, especially for children using Snapchat, you know, like how do they balance on that fine line, you know?
Yeah. It's definitely concerning because OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, actually came out with a warning talking exactly about this issue where people are developing potentially emotional reliance on these artificial intelligence tools, which is, yeah, concerning.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not just that. I mean, the OpenAI released some sort of promos of its new technology, and the chatbot that they're working on releasing now, it's just like talking to a person, maybe a little bit slower, but it has like personality. Definitely a brave new world we're heading towards, guys. Don Ma, thank you so much.
Thank you.